Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Today's the 27th of April. Maybe release this on the 28th. I don't know what day this is going to go up. Year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, a.k.a. Mozano. Got a nice show for you guys today. Some of you out there, you've seen The Big Short, the movie about Michael Burry predicting the financial collapse in the United States back in 2008. The housing market crashing. Hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, losing their homes, but undoubtedly losing their jobs. Millions of people losing their jobs back in 2008. Worldwide, millions of people losing their homes. Economies across the globe crashing back in 2008. And the point of the movie was to try to explain as best as they could why this thing happened. I'm not exactly going to do that here today with the thing that I want to talk about up at the top of the show, but I'm gonna very softly introduce this, and then maybe at some point in the near or distant future, we will do a little bit more of a deep dive into it. But I would like to put something on your radar as the self-proclaimed digital Paul Revere of the internet. I think the NBA may be in a little bit of trouble. I think there may be a problem. I'm not talking about financially. The league will never be facing insolvency. There will never be an issue with cash flow. It would be tough for that to happen when between Amazon and NBC and ABC, paying $1.5 billion per network every single season to the NBA. The cash will be flowing into the NBA for a decade at this point, especially when you have expansion on the horizon, which I do think it's a little bit weird that we haven't heard anything about that yet. I thought we were waiting for the new TV deal to get signed, and then it got inked, and we didn't hear anything about Seattle or Las Vegas. Keep a pin in that. Put a pin in that. Keep an eye on it this summer, I think, was when we'll start to hear the real rumblings out there. By 2027, I would be shocked if there are not two expansion teams. Is that too soon? 2028. I would be shocked if we are not expecting two expansion teams in the NBA. It has nothing to do with the cash flow or the ratings, the viewership. That was a big thing. That was a big talking point at the beginning of the season. People, nobody's watching the NBA anymore. Oh, ratings. And then the Luka trade happened, and then people kind of stopped talking about it because everybody started talking about the Luka trade, and then everybody started watching the NBA again, I guess. I think people were kind of already... there was empirical data to suggest that people were there was a drop-off of viewership in the NBA. I would be naive to say otherwise, but I also think that people use the NFL as a measuring stick in terms of viewership across the four major sports in America. That's not fair. The NFL is very much America's, that's the league in America is the NFL. But where am I going with this? Well, something came across my desk the other day. Evan Mobley won Defensive Player of the Year. That's not what came across my desk. He deserved it. I think it should have been Dyson Daniels, but I love Evan Mobley, so I'm not going to fight it. I think he deserved it. I do think that before I continue with what I was about to do, just to do a quick little spiel on Evan Mobley winning Defensive Player of the Year. I think it's cool for Evan Mobley that he won because for the next however many years, it's just going to be Victor Wembanyama. If he didn't get blood clots, he would have been the Defensive Player of the Year in year 2. You know what I mean? And so it's like when Milwaukee won a championship in 2021. We can look back on it and be like, that was your window. That was your chance to win a championship, and you actually did it, and that does not mean nothing, right? That is awesome that you did it when you absolutely had to do it. Evan Mobley, if for the rest of his career, if he wanted to win Defensive Player of the Year, it probably had to be this year, the year that Victor Wembanyama gets sidelined in, late February, maybe early March, with blood clots. So good for him for doing it. I do think it should have been Dyson Daniels. I would have loved to have seen a non-big man / non-Draymond type character do it. Didn't Marcus Smart win a Defensive Player of the Year? So maybe I'm sort of making a fake argument here. But good for Evan Mobley. But here's what came across my desk. Evan Mobley's contract extension goes up almost $50 million after winning Defensive Player of the Year, which will put the Cleveland Cavaliers over the second apron. The contract extension that he signed a season ago switches from 25 to 30% of the cap after he won Defensive Player of the Year. Now, the reason that I think that this is interesting is Evan Mobley winning Defensive Player of the Year, putting the Cavs into the second apron. Now, the truth is, even if he didn't win DPOY, him being like second team All-NBA would have put the Cavs in the same spot, which for all intents and purposes, he's going to be at worst third. Like he will make an All-NBA roster an All-NBA team this year, probably second team, right? And so this issue would have arisen even if he didn't win DPOY. But here's my problem. We've spent a little bit of time over the last few weeks very softly conspiring about what could happen in the future if the NBA Players Association sells its players down the river. Maybe guys start signing 360 contracts where the money that you're making, you're going to end up making $100 million a season with the way that the money keeps going into the NBA and the way that these salaries keep inflating. Eventually, the organizations themselves will want a piece of that because the revenue that you're bringing in on the court does not reflect the salary that you're getting paid. The only way that would happen is if the Players Association completely shits the bed. I think it may have happened. I think it happened. This new CBA that was signed in 2023 that runs until the end of the decade, finishes at the 2029-2030 NBA season, I think the players are fucked. If the Cleveland Cavaliers are in the second apron, a concept that was only invented, the second apron, because people were scared about the Golden States of the world and the Los Angeles Clippers of the world overspending and eating the luxury bills in the name of competing for a championship, and you have an owner who can write these checks in Silicon Valley, in the Warriors case, and it doesn't really matter. There's not a lot of goddamn, I'm stuttering so much today. We're 5 minutes into the episode. There was not a lot of fuck, what's the word? 10 years ago, you go into the luxury, there were some restrictions in terms of what you could do with trades, but not really, especially compared to now, right? At the end of the day, it was really only a problem for the owner, and it was a matter of whether or not they were willing to write the 200% luxury tax bill that they would have to pay to the NBA for going over X amount of whatever the NBA cap was that season. But now what we're seeing is if you are an NBA team and you draft well, that's it. If you draft a good team over a 3 to 5 year period, you're fucked. Because eventually you will not be able to keep those players together. Bird rights or not, you're eventually, if you draft well enough, going to have to sign at least one of those players to a Supermax contract. Supermax is being something that wasn't really factored in this new CBA and how it counted against the cap. And where I'm going with this is for something that was implemented in the NBA in this collective bargaining agreement and was co-signed by the NBA Players Association, something that was meant to deter the bigger markets from overspending and just being able to eat that money, and that was kind of it. Now what we're starting to see are the teams who are the most affected by the second apron are the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're the Denver Nuggets, right? There's another team in there that I'm not thinking of right now, but there's definitely another team in there. It's not the big markets that we should be worried about. It's not them. It's not. It's the little guys. It's the small team. And before anybody tries to, anytime I use this example with Phoenix, where you call them a quote unquote small market, motherfuckers will come out of the woodwork. Well, actually, Phoenix has the fourth highest population in the United States. It's not a big sports market. It's not the same thing. Just because you have a shit ton of people, you know what I mean? It's not the same thing. You're not New York. You're not Los Angeles. You're not fucking Miami. You're not Dallas. It's not the same thing. Just because a bunch of people live, it's just not the same thing. I don't know how to articulate it, but it's not the same thing. So now we're seeing the little guys get fucked up by this new CBA because they drafted well, and that's it. And so if you're Cleveland, you're like, Boston is another good team, by the way, that's going to run into this at some point. They kind of already have, honestly. It's a miracle that they've been able to keep together the roster that they have. We'll see how long that lasts. Look, I say the same thing. Or rather, I'm about to say the same thing that I say every single time that we talk about this new CBA and what the second apron actually is. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm not a fucking lawyer. I didn't go to Harvard. I didn't go to law school. And so I'm open to having it explained to me why I'm wrong, but when you eventually have to sign all of these guys to deals that you kind of can't afford, because if you sign them to these contracts and you get put into the second apron, then that completely eliminates your flexibility in terms of like being able to fix your roster in the future. Because if you're into the second apron, then you can only aggregate so many players into a single trade, and it's really hard to get off certain contracts. And then it's like, okay, well, eventually everybody's going to catch up to this, and half of the league is going to be in the second apron, and nobody's going to be able to take on these larger contracts. And then so you're just going to be stuck with like 5 Bradley Beals. You know what I mean? Sans like a no trade clause, you're not going to be able to move them because nobody's going to be able to afford a seventh guy off of the bench who's making $35 million. That's where we're headed with this whole thing. And so my wires start to get crossed. And I'm like, who was this actually for? Because now the teams that are drafting well get a few years down the timeline, and then they're being punished. And so that to me is a sort of a dark omen. I don't really know. That's not a good thing, right? Like, I feel like we're sort of heading in this direction where small markets will sort of evaporate, and role players as we knew them, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, will sort of become like a lost art, and they just won't exist anymore because every guy on your roster is going to be making, aside from the guys on rookie contracts, like $20 million a year. What is the mid-level exception at this point? What is the biannual like contract at this point? It's got to be at least $15 million. Like, we're just not that far. And then that's the bottom of the food chain. Again, aside from the rookie contracts, unless you're like the first overall pick, and in which case you're signing like $100 million contract at this point. So like, when does this end? Because at the top of the food chain, you're going to be having guys who at a minimum are signed to 5 years, $200 million contracts. Like, that's become the standard in the NBA when you sign the cream of the crop, the best guy on your roster. When he's due for an extension, he is getting paid at least $200 million. By the end of the decade, we may be upwards of $400 million over 5 years. Is there going to be another cap spike? Like, I just don't know how these teams are supposed to navigate this. A lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't understand it. But like, is this something that expansion fixes? Or not fixes, but at least kicks the can down the road? Because what you're going to see is, if you're an NBA team and Seattle and Las Vegas are added, right? Let's say you're Detroit. And you can protect, well, Detroit's not a good example because they don't have like these monster contracts, right? Let's say you're Oklahoma City, or let's say you're Cleveland, or actually, Oklahoma City is another team that's going to get fucked by this. Cleveland, you're Minnesota, you're Denver, you're Boston. Protecting 9 players from an expansion draft will become way more interesting than it ever has, because what I'm about to say has been done in the past, but not to the extent that I think we might see it. You will see teams leave players unprotected who are valuable, but just make so much money that if they are picked by a Seattle or a Las Vegas type character, it will take them under the second apron. So you're almost crossing your fingers to an extent, right? Like, let's arbitrarily, right? A year from now, we have an expansion draft, and the Celtics are like, Jaylen Brown is about to make $60 million. And Kristaps Porzingis has retired at this point because his body gave up on him. We had to trade Pritchard I'm just throwing some shit out there, right? Like, name a player. But you'll have these mammoth contracts that teams will be willing to part ways with, because it will put them under the second apron, and it will allow them more flexibility to actually like be a general manager. And part of being a general manager right now is, if we don't pay this guy, like, not like we're gonna lose, but you're just like, there's a gun to your head. I don't know who thought that CJ McCollum is still the president of the Players Association. I would love for somebody present day to ask him, would you change anything about the NBA's collective bargaining agreement that was signed 2 years ago? Because right now, I just don't know. I really, really don't know. And then another thing, just while we're at it, this has nothing to do with the PA or like anything like that. I think it is shameful what Nike has done to the NBA in terms of the uniforms that are worn in playoff games. In the regular season, I don't care. It annoys me when the Pistons are playing at home and they're wearing blue and the away team is wearing white. That bothers me. I think it's annoying. It's the regular season, and literally, who cares? When it's the playoffs, and I see Memphis wearing red, you can wear your Vancouver throwbacks, I guess. That's fine. But, like, it's not really that fine. It's like you should be wearing your... You know what I mean? Game 2, Madison Square Garden, the Knicks are wearing, like, their city edition navy blue, whatever the fuck. So the Pistons are wearing white. This is a disgrace. This is disgusting. Because you're going to have to explain this to a younger generation in 15 years. Whenever this goes away, eventually it will, right? Teams will revert back to wearing the colors that they are designated to wear. I'm not suggesting that, like... How do I say this? Well, what I was going to say is you're going to have to explain, like, do I sound dumb? Do I sound like a boomer? I just think you should actually have to wear your uniforms that like, conventionally, historically, you wear when you're at home versus if you're at home, you wear white. That's what it is. Don't wear your city editions at home. I think it stinks. Alternate courts, gray is horrible. Gray is horrible. In-season tournament, NBA Cup style courts where they just go nuts. It's like if Kermit was pondering something. Yeah, you got to do something to spice it up, I guess. But you're telling me we can get these like uber painted all red courts for the NBA Cup, but motherfuckers want a finals trophy at half court for the NBA Finals, and we can't get that. You're telling me for the entire duration of the playoffs, what we all grew up with, where on the hardwood, it'll say playoffs, like right above the wing on each end of the floor. We can't get that anymore. Why? Is it because otherwise you won't have enough space on the floor to like digitally laser in your Skims ad, your Air Emirates ad? Is that why we can't have playoffs? It's shit like that bothers me. What happened to the game that I love? It has nothing to do with anything other than Nike and their racket. Right? But eventually, I think they actually just kind of recently, I think they re-upped their deal with the NBA. So I think we're going to be dealing with this horse shittery for a while. But man, it really bothers me. NBA Players Association potentially selling the entire league down the river. And I don't know who to be mad at other than CJ McCollum. But I may read the CBA. I might read the CBA and like really get into this so I really understand it. And so that I know for a fact that I should get fired up, instead of getting fired up about something that I don't understand. You know what I mean? Coping Hour Subs at gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. Got an email from one of you guys the other day where you were like, hey, I just need to know why you read the emails off of your phone and not off of your computer. The reason that I do that is because I'm recording with a webcam and I'm looking in the monitor at myself right now. And if I switch tabs to like read an email, it will stop the recording. Also because I think hearing a bunch of clicking in the background, whether it's me typing keys or clicking with a mouse, will pick up. And I just think that makes for, it's just not, I just think it's very disruptive to the ears. And it's just way easier for me to just read it on my phone. I don't even use the Gmail app. I just use Safari. So whenever I have problems reading an email, it's just because Safari is just not cooperating with me. But I got it up here right now. Let's see. What do we want to do? Let's do this one. This came in about an hour ago from William. William, what's up? Subject line. Segment pitch. NBA player serial comps. All right, let's do it. Hey, Nick. A lot of basketball recently. And a lot of world news going on. Despite all of that, I want to pitch a conversation me and my buddy had last night. The premise is comparing NBA players all time to breakfast cereals. And after lots of careful thought, this is what we ended up with. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Michael Jordan. Explanation. Definitely one of the GOATs. Good luck finding a more consistent scorer out there. Not quite as versatile enough to be LeBron. But I'm taking flashy, high-volume scorer who's an absolute bona fide champion. Frosted Flakes, you said Kobe Bryant. Explanation, I'm never choosing Frosted Flakes over CTC, which is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But it's not that far off. In the same way Kobe followed Jordan's footsteps, Frosted Flakes is everything Cinnamon Toast Crunch is, just slightly worse. Still an all-time great. I'm immediately going to push back on you. I don't agree with that at all. I think that's a horrible pick. Even as a guy who will go out of his way to criticize Jordan and be like, he's not my GOAT because I wasn't alive for him. And truthfully, I don't care about the history because I wasn't alive for it. It doesn't matter to me. I don't hate the Cinnamon Toast Crunch pick. I would just put LeBron for the same reasons that you did. But yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You want to put Mike? That's fine. Frosted Flakes is not a good cereal. I don't think it's a good cereal. I don't think you can put Kobe there. Frosted Flakes, it may be more of like I was going to say Jamal Crawford just in terms of his divisiveness, because people either are like, no, he's the best highlight package of all time, or they think he's overrated and all he did was shoot the ball and that he stunk. But I guess even those people would probably be like, yeah, but he did have some sick handles, though, and that his highlight reels are sweet. I just don't think Frosted Flakes is good. I think that's more of like a Steve Blake type, because there's nothing flashy about Frosted Flakes. It just kind of is what it is. You know what I mean? Like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, at least a big reason like that will determine whether or not a cereal is like where it is on the pyramid. You know, if it's at the top of the pyramid, it's because the milk that you can drink from it after is the best. You know what I mean? Cinnamon Toast Crunch, you're done eating your cereal, you just have Cinnamon Toast Crunch milk. It's great milk. So it is at the top of the pyramid for that reason. Frosted Flakes, I hate them. I can't even imagine how horrible that milk would taste. So I'm thinking Frosted Flakes, I'm going more like Steve Blake in this sense, right? Like if Steve Blake would check into a game, I was turning it off, like for real. If I see Frosted Flakes in the pantry, I'm closing it and I'm eating like a burrito for breakfast or something. Like, I'm not eating Frosted Flakes. So I don't agree with the Kobe thing. Cocoa Puffs. You said Shaq? For your explanation, you said vibes. Enough said. I'm going to say what we're all thinking. Cocoa Puffs is Shaq. That's got to be a little bit. You know what I mean? It's got to be a little bit. Little bit? Racist is what I'm saying. It's got to be a little bit, right? Shaq is Cocoa Pebbles. Cocoa Puffs, not Cocoa Pebbles. There's a difference. Cocoa Puffs. Let's say it's not racist, though. Just Cocoa Puffs have good vibes. It has really good milk. But I would then push back on that, actually, because the milk is almost like an aftertaste of the cereal. And the aftertaste of Shaq's career has been what? If you use the last 4 months as an example, what do people say about Shaq? It's not that nice. People online don't say that much nice stuff about Shaq the way that they did, you know, when he first joined inside the NBA. Who would I say that? Who's had a good aftertaste in terms of like players who had a good career and then their milk, the aftertaste of them, has aged well? There's got to be a good one in here. First my brain went to Iguodala. I don't think it's Iguodala because he's done like a little bit of TV here and there. I don't think it's really him. Mark Jackson had a good run, just as a broadcaster. Oh, man. Candace Parker. Candace, yeah. Yeah, well, but they never, yeah. I'm going to say Cocoa Puffs is Candace Parker. Although, no, yeah. Candace Parker, Cocoa Puffs. She's just great on TV. Like, one of the only reasonable motherfuckers on TV at this point. Her and, like, Malika Andrews has been doing some weird shit. The fits she's been getting off the last couple of them. She's, like, wearing pantsuits and, like, she's wearing, like, 3-piece suits. Like, the vest and the tie and everything. And I'm like, so who is this for? Okay, wait. No way, that's not how I meant that at all. Identifying what Malika Andrews is wearing and being like, this isn't for me. It's not supposed to be for me. That's not what I meant. I just mean, like, this is such a departure from what you've worn in the past. I just wonder, she must have changed stylists or something or fired hers, because the truth is she kind of pulls it off. I just wanted such a stark contrast to what she was wearing even maybe a year ago. Malika Andrews wearing vests and ties. But I'll go Candace Parker for Cocoa Puffs. I don't think saying Shaq was racist. It was funnier in my head, and then I said it out loud. I was like, this isn't funny. Back to the email. Lucky Charms. You said Russell Westbrook. The explanation is Russell Westbrook is one of those players that have parts of their game that are unbelievably great and parts of their game that are just hard to watch. With Lucky Charms, you got the marshmallows, i.e. Russell Westbrook dunking the ball on a fast break. But then you also have whatever the hell else is in that cereal, which is pretty much just a corner three. All-time great, but not nearly in the GOAT discussion. I'm pushing back on you again. It goes back to the milk. When I'm finished eating a bowl of Lucky Charms, that was a gross noise. I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to bleep that noise out. I did a slurping noise. That was a gross noise. That milk is, I'm holing it. You know what I mean? So who would that be? A guy who I think you're in the right space. A former teammate of Russell Westbrook, I think it's Harden. Because Lucky Charms to me is high volume, high efficiency. Like, I fuck with it to a degree that even as an adult man, like, I'm never gonna, if I don't eat cereal anymore. So I guess I should have led the email with this. I don't eat cereal anymore because if I buy a box of cereal, I don't have portion control with it, and I will get too excited and I will eat the entire box in one sitting. And so it's just easier for me to not do it anymore, right? Lucky Charms is definitely one of those. You get a family-sized box, it's gone in 45 minutes. I think it's got to be Harden because, yeah, what did I just say? High volume, high efficiency? I nailed that. Now, but with Harden, he kind of very famously manipulated the rules. And so what does Lucky Charms manipulate? Well, I guess to your point, what are the things that aren't marshmallows? It's like cornstarch and sugar. Like, what are those things? You know what I mean? Like, what actually are they? And I think that's what a lot of James Harden's game was. It still is, but like prime Houston Harden, peak of his powers when he kept losing to the Warriors, Daryl Morey ball Harden was a lot of like, what is this? But the results were there. And that's probably as close as I'm going to be able to get off of the top of my head. Up next, Honey Nut Cheerios. You said Kareem. Explanation, Mr. Fundamental. If you're not in the mood for a super sweet breakfast cereal, but you just want something that hits, you're going to get Honey Nut Cheerios. Maybe not your favorite player, but I'll be damned if you can't get the job done all-time great. If you can't get the job done all-time great, perhaps from a different era. I think you nailed that one, actually. I don't hate that one. I have no pushback on that. Honey Nut Cheerios is just like, it's kind of old reliable in that way. If you're in the sense that if you're in the GOAT debate with somebody very earnestly and you're doing a LeBron versus Michael back and forth, you volley back and forth and back and forth. What if you just throw out Kareem? What if you did that? Because up until, a year and change ago, was it 2 years ago? When did LeBron break the scoring record? I think that was like a year and change ago. That was like the whole thing. It's like, well, he scored the most points and nobody's probably ever going to touch that record. And then they did. And I think Honey Nut Cheerios puts up some pretty consistent numbers to the, 37 or 38,000 points, however many it was that Kareem scored in the NBA. I like that one. You said, back to the email, by now you probably get the vibe, and I figured if this goes any longer, there's no chance you're going to read it. Lots of cereals I'm leaving off of this list for you to discuss. You said at the end, Marathon Will, friend of Fiance Michael. I believe Fiance Michael was the one, maybe an episode or two ago, who emailed in asking how to get his fiance to listen to the show. Like, how do you introduce your fiance to the show? And I ended up going off the rails and spending like 20 minutes talking about nothing that had nothing to do with how to get a woman to listen to the show. If that's the Michael that you're talking about, hell yes, brother. Good to see some pals listening to that. I kind of wish you just kept firing off cereals because it was easier for me to push back than to think of any off the top of my head. Fruity Pebbles. Jared McCain? Fruity Pebbles. Jared McCain, if you just want to do a layup. Probably that. Can I do, speaking of fruity, can I just do one quick thing? Just one really brief thing. Okay, so Jimmy Butler, as of a couple of days ago, out for the Warriors officially with a glute injury. The guy who moved to San Francisco 2 months ago, mysteriously out with a glute injury. And you're going to tell me, Nick, it's because he had a hard fall against the Rockets, and we saw the injury happen on live television. No, we didn't. Because when that injury happened, they said it was his hip. After the game, they said it was a hip contusion. And for 2 to 3 days, hip contusion. Jimmy Butler, questionable. And then, mysteriously, they upgraded it or downgraded it. They bottom graded it to a glute injury. Really putting the butt in Jimmy Butler there. Bottoming out in San Francisco. Jared McCain, Fruity Pebbles. Gonna go with that. But then if you do like a yin and yang type situation, if Jared McCain is Fruity Pebbles, then who's Cocoa Pebbles? You talk about the milk to the cereal. Gun to my head, I'm not choosing either of those. It would probably have to be Cocoa Pebbles just because it's chocolate milk at that point. Same thing with Cocoa Puffs, right? Fruity Pebbles milk, very, very good though. 2%. One of you is probably going to ask, one of you little autistic fuckers out there needing to know what milk it is, because that totally changes the whole conversation. It doesn't. It's 2% though. Cocoa Pebbles. If Fruity Pebbles just by name is Jared McCain, Cocoa Pebbles is another, I think, high volume, high efficiency cereal. You're never going to have a bad bowl of Cocoa Pebbles. It would have to be, is it KD? You like that? Yeah. I mean, all-time cereal that kind of gets brushed under the rug. You know what I mean? Okay. I'll stick with that. I like that one. Cookie Crisp. I'm just naming cereals. Let's do one more. This is the last one. I don't know if this is going in. I don't know if this is good or not, if this is a good segment. But it's fun. Cookie Crisp. The way I eat cookie, it's not really good milk. It's mostly, it's like, there's a little bit of hint of something in there, like a little bit of sugar, a little bit of chocolate. But like, it's mostly just milk. I like to eat my Cookie Crisp. Haven't had it in years. Couldn't tell you the last time. I like them to soften up a little bit because it's a hard cereal. Soften them up. Let them sit in the milk for just a minute. Stir them up a little bit. Just get them not soggy, but just, you know what I mean? Just a little bit so I'm not eating bricks. Especially because those chocolate chips can get really hard. So an NBA player that you kind of have to warm up to, and unless you do that, it's going to be a bad experience. Is it Draymond? Because like if he's on your team, then you're going to be like, yeah. Is it Isaiah Stewart? Because my head is just going to agitators immediately, right? John Morant, Cookie Crisp. John Morant, you got to warm up to him. Because okay. Because if you just see a box of Cookie Crisp, you're like, so the cereal is literally just small cookies? Like, what am I, an asshole? I'm not 5 years old. It is a little bit weird. It's a little bit jarring as a cereal. The same way that if you just consume John Morant through the media, you're just going to think that he's insane and that he's like this like super violent guy and he's just obsessed with guns. But then you watch him play basketball. You watch him get killed by Lou Dort. A play, by the way, that I did not think was dirty. It was Lou Dort got caught in a bad spot. And the way that it played out really sucked, but there was nothing overtly dirty about what Lou Dort did. When you watch Ja play, like how he was in the play-in, and he's just like sick, you warm up to him and you're like, oh, you're not an asshole. The same way I eat Cookie Crisp and I'm like, you're not an asshole, you're a Cookie Crisp. Okay, that seems like a good stopping point for that segment. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. Really quick one here from T. Boogie, friend of the program, frequent emailer, more of a commenter, I think, than an emailer, but welcome back, brother. Subject line, coach firing continuum. Good morning, Nick. How do you think this rates on the continuum of coach and team have mutually parted ways to coach has been fired? I'll read what he's talking about in a second. This makes him sound like a fire chief who's done his last watch. The post that he sent me was from the Cincinnati Cyclones, and it said the head coach of the team, Jason Payne, has been relieved of his duties. Now, if you're wondering what the fuck we're talking about here, it's just interesting to read into like the language that's used when certain coaches or general managers are fired from their jobs, right? Because sometimes you'll hear a report, this coach got fired from Adrian Wojnarowski or now Shams Charania, right? Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport. Coach was fired. You'll hear coach and team have mutually agreed to part ways, which is interesting. That's where the agents are getting involved and they're tweaking the language. A season ago, JB Bickerstaff dismissed from the Cleveland Cavaliers, not fired. The language was that he was dismissed. That's agents getting involved and switching the language. So what he's asking here is, what does it mean when head coach Jason Payne, of the formerly head coach of the Cincinnati Cyclones, Jason Payne, was relieved of his duties? I think that has to be close to dismissed, where you kind of, it was semi-amicable, but it wasn't like my contract was up and we both kind of, that's mutually agreed to part ways. When the contract is up and you both kind of decide, person and organization, this isn't going to work, let's go see other people. Dismissed is the soft language of, we fired you, but you did the best that you could, and we have no malice in our heart, and it's just time to figure something else out for the team, right? I think relieved of his duties is the same as dismissed, where it was like, I don't know. No, I don't know. It could be, but I would love to. I'm not going to be able to figure this out on the fly. Will somebody please go back to the tweet? I assume it would have been from Woj when Ime Udoka got fired, or maybe not fired. Maybe he was relieved of his duties by the Boston Celtics. How did that one play out? What was the language that was used? Because relieved of his duties I need to stop saying duties because it's in my head a little bit. Duties. I'm thinking about poop. I could see relieved of his duties easily being like not you're a sex pest, but something happened behind the scenes. And you get where I'm going with this? Check in on the Ime Udoka tweet. Report back to me on that one. That's a great question, brother. Let's do this one from Tristan. I haven't even read this full email, by the way, so I don't know. I assume this is good. It grabbed me, though, by the subject line, so I'm sort of doing a blind reading here. We're also completely changing gears. We're talking about something completely different, I would imagine. Tristan, welcome to the show. Subject line, is my mom the asshole? Hey, Nick. Tristan here. I really want your opinion on my situation. I'm really mad at my mom right now. Are my emotions valid? I'll try to keep this long story short. I'm not proud to admit this, but 5 months ago, me, my fiance, and my 1-year-old son moved into my mom's place. For reference, I'm 25 and my fiance is 24. The reason we did this was so that we could save money for a down payment on a home. 9 months ago, I made the mistake of co-signing on an expensive car for my younger sister. She's 21. I only co-signed for my sister because I felt bad that my mom's credit was not good enough to help her out. Well, it turns out that my mom's credit was actually good, if not better than mine. I've talked to a couple mortgage... Wow, can I break the email for a second? This is going in a direction that... Okay, yeah, real time, this seems fucked up so far. Because if your mom was willing to... We don't know how it's going. Well, this is why I should just keep reading the email. So far, I'm on your side so far, okay? Back to the email. I've talked to a couple mortgage loan officers, and I don't qualify for anything right now because the car loan is too big/new. I've asked my mom to refinance the car under her name so that I can qualify for a home, but all of a sudden she wants to buy a home of her own with her good credit score. She refuses to refinance the car first. She's bragging to us that she qualifies for, quote, $1 million home, unquote. My mom has rented my whole life, and she's never had the goal to buy a home. She's even bragged throughout the years about how she doesn't need a mortgage. But all of a sudden, that we have mentioned our goals to her, parenthetically said also one of her family friends recently purchased a home too, close parentheses, she wants to own her own home. I feel betrayed. I'm so pissed at my mom right now. What makes things worse is that my mom is taking advantage of me and my fiance living with her. I pay about $600 monthly rent to her. We pay for groceries. We do all the cooking and cleaning. My mom hardly buys any groceries. My mom all of a sudden stopped cooking since we moved in. Not even kidding. She's cooked maybe 2 or 3 times since we moved in. My mom and sister are such slobs. They don't clean after themselves at all. They don't even wash a single dish that they use. It's really annoying because with the amount of money that we spend on rent/groceries, it's literally the same amount if we were to be renting an apartment like we have before. My sister is responsible, but she doesn't contribute at all to rent or groceries. The only bills that she pays now is her car payment. I feel like such a fool for putting myself and my family in this situation. We can't even tell my mom and sister anything because they take everything up the ass and they think that they are right. There is no point in me telling them to clean more because it'll just make the situation more awkward. My mom also expects us to contribute more to rent so that we can help with the mortgage. She doesn't ask my sister for any financial help. I've lost so much respect for my mom and my sister throughout these months. I knew that they were pigs, but not like this. It's like they have us here as their personal maids. This is still going. There's a little bit more of the email. This is crazy. Back to it. My fiance and I are looking for apartments to rent again, but we'll just end up spending most of our savings and back at square one. We've had a goal to buy a home for the last 5 years, and we're not getting any closer to our goal. I feel frustrated, disappointed, betrayed. I feel so stupid. This is why people say not to mention your goals to anyone, even family, because they don't always want what's best for you. We never should have moved in with my mom. Is my mom the asshole here, or should I calm down and be great? Brother, at the end, you said, side note, we don't have anyone in the house to watch our son. My fiance and I work opposite shifts to make it work. We even watch my niece, from my older sister, on our days off, which is annoying too. All right, I'll push back on that last part. I bet it's stressful. I bet it's annoying. But you love your niece at the end of the day, and you're doing a solid for your older sister. And is it your older sister that's the problem here, or is it your younger sister that you signed the... Yeah, it would have been your younger sister that you signed the car lease for. Let's not misdirect our anger. It's not your niece's fault. She's just happy to be hanging out with her uncle, right? But the rest, I'm being nitpicky here. Dog. This is bizarre. I'm so glad that I blindly read this email, because this is crazy. Although I guess I wish I would have read it before, because now I have to try to think of not the advice, but like the perspective. I don't know. I would love for somebody in the comments to try to zag on me here and convince anybody that the mom, like, what's the perspective of the mother here? You mentioned, this is why you don't mention your goals to anybody, is because even your family might not want what's best for you. Brother, but it's your mom, though. It's your mom. So what happened? There has to be something that... I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying, like, what would have happened between you moving in and now that would have led your mom... You said one of her friends bought a house? Yeah, but is that really... You know what I mean? Like, is that really going to... What's her dad's situation like? Are they, like, did your dad recently, like, go through something where he's like on the upswing, and now your mom is like, fuck you, I can do that too, and so now she's motivated to go get $1 million home, which she's recently been qualified for? The fact that she lied to you about her credit score just so that you would eat the loan, or well, I guess not the loan, but like you would eat the credit, not bump. What's a reverse bump to your credit by doing the right thing. You did the right thing for your sister, by the way, because I've been in that situation where, like, when I got my, I was gonna say apartment, when I got my back house 100 square foot apartment in Los Angeles, when I moved to California, I didn't know like what credit was. That like just was never explained. I for real didn't know. And so I go out there and I'm like applying to all these apartments, and I didn't have a credit score. It was 0. I did not have a credit score. I could not get an apartment. And so I had to have somebody co-sign, somebody that I had only known for like 3 months. That was really scary because they were like, I know you're going to pay this because I know how much you make, and so I know you're good for it, but like you have to pay this because otherwise I get screwed, right? And so in this instance, you were that guy, but for your sister, which is just the right thing to do, and your mom just kind of let that happen. And so now I'm like, did she let it happen because she was just like negligent and she was like, whatever, like that would be a nice thing to do for your sister? Or was there something more sinister afoot here, and she was like, I will let him eat this so that my credit doesn't get affected negatively, and then that way I can buy a shiny new house. Brother, there's nothing... I should have said this at the top of it. You really shouldn't feel embarrassed about moving back home with a 1-year-old kid in the name of saving up to buy a home for your family, right? We all have different paths. It may not be the most conventional is not the right word. It may not be the preferred one, and you may feel a little bit down on yourself just because, you know, you get to 25 and you're kind of like, isn't this when I'm supposed to be like doing my own thing? And this is when I'm supposed to be more independent. And like having a child is the most like, okay, I'm an adult at this point, right? Like even if you're a 19-year-old and you have a kid, like it instills something in you that like, okay, this is adulthood, and whatever youth I had is gone now because all of my time and literally all of my energy has to go towards raising this child. And so you guys are just trying to provide for your kid, And there's no shame. It sucks. And I'm sure, it's going to be hard not to beat up on yourself for moving back home. But like, you got to do what you got to do, right? In order to provide. And the truth is, like, yeah, it's hard on you and it's probably hard on your fiance. It's fiance, right? I should have wanted to get that right. Was it girlfriend? Yep, fiance. Your kids won. They're not going to remember this. It's okay. This like little, if you want to call it a rough patch, if you want to be hard on yourself and call it a rough patch, or however you want to phrase it, right? Your kid's not going to remember it. And so it's just getting over that mental barrier of like, I just need to get out of this situation, which is really, I think, the takeaway of this whole thing is you and your fiance need to do whatever it is to just get out of it. I agree with you that it's probably not going to be worth confronting your mother or your sister, because what's the best case scenario? That's the question you have to ask yourself is the best case scenario that your mom starts like cleaning and picking up after yourself? You're not asking your mom to deep clean the house. I'm assuming this is like leaving dishes everywhere and maybe some like cups in the living room and just shit like that on the margins that gets a little bit annoying, and it can build up if nobody takes care of it. And it sounds like you and your fiance are the ones that have to take care of it. Is the best case scenario that they start to pick up after themselves? Is the best case scenario that your mom cooks once a week, something like that? It doesn't sound like it if your mom is willing to just like kind of let you get raked over the coals. And the rent thing is what's crazy to me. It's not uncommon. I'm sure there are people who listen to this right now who are like, yeah, once I got to a certain age, or maybe I had to move back home or whatever it was, my parents charged me rent. That is a thing that some people do. I think that is fucking insane, unless the kid is an absolute shithead and they need to be taught a lesson or something like that. For the most part, though, it's like, dude, your kid is there for a reason. And so, yeah, you're getting paid $600, or you're paying her $600 a month to live there. And then at the same time, like, hey, man, here in this household, we know how much it costs to take care of a child in the first year of its life. The thousands of dollars, aside from the medical bills, that you will be paying in a single year of a child's, first year is insane. It's not just, clothes and food is one thing, but you got to get the stroller, and that comes with a nice car seat, and you got to get all these toys, and it adds up. It adds up really, really quick. The cost of formula, I don't know if this is like an invasive question to ask, but your fiance will relate to this at the very least, because we're experiencing it at home right now, with me and Maddie. I don't know how long your fiance was or is breastfeeding, or at the very least pumping, and then, you have milk, you have the bottles. You're also probably supplementing that milk with formula. Dog, formula is like $50. And that lasts you, I don't know. How long does that last us? The days blend together for me, so I don't know. I just kind of do the bottles. I just put all the formula in the bottles, and then I put them in the fridge, and I'm not really conscious of ever what day it is or how long this has lasted. It'll be generous and say a week and a half, like a tub of formula. It's $50 fucking dollars, right? Depending on where you're getting it from. I don't know if that's just because we live in a major city, and so there's but it's really expensive, and usually it's locked up, right? It's an expensive thing that people steal out of necessity because of how goddamn expensive it is. And so when you factor that in, on top of the cost of just living there, and you're paying for groceries, I'm trying to talk myself into like, what's the angle for your mom? I think I'm just going to need somebody in the comments on, Spotify or on YouTube to explain it to me. Don't send in an email unless you're this guy. Don't send in an email, because I don't think we're going to cover this beyond this episode. So please just leave a comment if you do have a perspective on this. But I don't think I think you pretty unanimously, I would imagine, this is insane. It's tough to call your mom an asshole. Doesn't seem nice, but yeah, probably. Because you just think about it through the lens of your fiance as your mother, right? Where if your son was in your situation and your fiance, the mother of your child, was doing this to him, do you get what I'm saying? Would she do that? Probably not, because I would imagine your fiance is on the same page with you. And that's crazy. A crazy behavior from this guy's mom. That's too bad, brother. Don't be embarrassed about living at home. I get that it's tough, but you are doing the best for your family, and that is what matters. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. Let's do this one from Valentino. Valentino, welcome to the show, brother. I don't actually have that much to say about this one. It's just a feel-good email, and I was just happy for this guy, and that was it. Subject line, Crystal Palace FA Cup. Hey, Nick. Long time, first time. I'm a Crystal Palace fan, also a Philly sports fan from Sydney, Australia. And I'm struggling to put into words how I feel now that my club is going to be playing in the FA Cup final. For context, Crystal Palace have existed for 120 years and have never won a major trophy. They have reached the final twice before, losing to Manchester United on both occasions, so third time has to be the charm, right? As Palace fans, we've never expected to win things. We have a reputation as the most boring club in the Premier League due to, since returning in 2013, never finishing above 10th and never below 16th. We've had some great, exciting players over that time, but now we have a chance to write ourselves into the history books forever. The FA Cup has always been the realistic dream to win, and now we are so close. I can't even comprehend what it'd be like if we won. We still feel the pain of the 2016 final after we got so close. But the chances to put the reputation of being one of the biggest clubs never to have won a trophy to bed is putting butterflies in my stomach. I don't even know what the point of the email is about. I'm just speaking purely as an incredibly excited and nervous fan of a club that is so close to tasting glory for the first time. I love this club, and I want us to win this fucking trophy. Sincerely, Valentino. So when you sent this email in, brother, you didn't know who you were playing in the final. The last time I checked in, it was Manchester City versus Nottingham Forest. When I checked in on it last, it was 2-0. It was Gvardiol had just scored in like the 70th. Let's do a quick check-in on that. Manchester City versus Nottingham Forest. I'm asking Siri the most crucial piece of artificial intelligence that we have. Nottingham Forest. So it didn't tell me who won the fucking game, Siri and her fucking racket. I'm assuming City ended up winning that. So you lose twice to United, and now it's Crystal Palace versus City in the FA Cup final. Can I do a trust tree? Really quick. Ever since like a week ago, Leicester got relegated officially for real. Even though we already knew it was going to happen. It actually happened. They lost to Liverpool. Although, that piece of shit, what was it, Tyler Alexander? Who the fuck was it? Scores to put Leicester away in like the 80th minute. And this little fascist piece of shit takes his fucking shirt off and is doing a goddamn helicopter at the King's Power. Although he wouldn't be doing a helicopter. That would be in bad taste given the crash that happened a couple of years ago. He was not doing that. Fuck you for doing that against Leicester. Congratulations, you ended up winning the league as of today. And that was something that was like, oh, if we win today and then Arsenal loses on Wednesday to Crystal Palace and then we fucking win the title. And this piece of you should be hung and shot in the town square for celebrating the way that he did against Leicester City. Fuck you. Loser shit. A game, by the way, that Leicester should have drawn against Liverpool, but the VAR and its goddamn racket goalkeeper interference, and they took the goal off of the board. Such bullshit. Okay, all right. I've been checked out. That's where I'm going with this. I don't care. I'm punted. I've punted. Yeah, Liverpool finally won. Awesome for them. What is it? Since 2016 or 2017, the only two clubs that have won the Premier League are Liverpool and Manchester City. Yeah, that's cool. Phenomenal season from them. Phenomenal season. Jurgen Klopp is rolling in his grave. Phenomenal season. Mo Salah played the best season he's ever played in his life. Gets rewarded with a contract extension. Virgil plays the best season. Virgil van Dijk. Best season of his career. I don't know if the numbers would back that up, but he's really fucking good this year. Was it a 2-year contract extension that he just signed too? So I don't know. Maybe if Arsenal finally gets a decent striker, they'll win the league next year. Liverpool had this shit wrapped up 2 months ago, dog. We knew how this season was going to go. And so I've just been we knew Leicester was going to get relegated, and so I've just been kind of going through the motions, and now that they're officially dead and Liverpool officially won, I'm just kind of like, whatever. And then you pair that with the fact that a month ago at this point, Erling Haaland goes down with an injury that they're like, it's probably going to be the rest of the season. Has there been an update? I haven't checked it out. Let's ask Siri one more question. Erling Haaland injury update. There's no way he's coming back anytime soon. Man City was for... Oh, okay. All right. Well, we got a little something here. When was this article from? This article was from Saturday, February 15th. So not even the injury that we would be talking about. Is Haaland coming back anytime soon? Was he playing today? I don't know. I'm not paying attention anymore because I don't care. The season's over. Except from the Champions League, by the way, which I don't think we covered the quarterfinals. Real Madrid, dead. Probably just going to... I mean, I'm rooting for PSG, but I also mainly root for England, just across the board. Villa ended up losing to PSG. They gave it a good run in the second leg, but it was not meant to be. Shout out to Arsenal, maybe them. Declan Rice. Is he going to kill PSG? I don't know. Maybe. So I'm keeping an eye on the Champions League. I still care about that. But at this point, what was this? Was this week 34 or week 35 of the Premier League? There's 3 weeks left in the season. I don't fucking care anymore. We know everything that we need to know. Oh, who's going to get the 5th spot? Who's going to get in the Champions League? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Why did I bring all of this up? I'm just getting fired up about shit. I don't remember why I'm bringing all of this up. They're good for Crystal Palace, though. Hope you guys win. So what was it then? So Premier League, Liverpool, FA Cup will either be City or Crystal Palace. And then who won the Carabao? It was Newcastle, the Magpies, right? Was that a dream that I had? I think it was Newcastle that won the Carabao. I don't remember who they beat, though. It was definitely Newcastle, though. Yeah, good season. See, I watched. I know what happened this year. That's the thing that is sort of demoralizing to me, though, is I watch all these games. I'm just not learning enough about the players. You know, like I know that Alisson is like world class. Love him. Guy broke down in tears after Liverpool won the league today. He should. He's awesome. He's great, right? I'm just not learning the players fast enough, and that's what's really stressing me out. There are just so many names, and it gets really hard, and then I get pissed off. Do I like Crystal Palace's chances against City? Well, barring me learning the status of Erling Haaland, you would imagine the only guy in the world that I care about. You would think that I would. I don't fucking know. Phil Foden has been kind of like a little bit of a wash this year. De Bruyne's just been hurt all the time. What's the cat's name? Rodrigo blew out. He smoked his knee like 9 months ago. Ederson still isn't good. I don't know. I'm really burying the lead. I talk about Leicester. Jamie Vardy, quitter. He gave up. Jamie Vardy has finally had enough. After 13 seasons with the club, I mean, what did he win with? He won the league in 16. He won a Community Shield. They won an FA Cup. Was it the FA or was it the Carabao? I'm pretty sure it was the FA. He's got some hardware with Leicester. And he finally was like, I'm 37 years old. I cannot keep playing for this team. They got relegated. He's like, I'm done with this. And so he's going to get a statue. He deserves one. He spent a very long time being one of the best and most loyal strikers in all of Europe. And so hats off to Jamie Vardy. That was a tough morning when I woke up and saw that. Jamie Vardy putting out a message where he's like, I got to leave. I can't do this anymore. You guys suck. I can't do this anymore. So that's where I'm kind of like, dog, if Jamie Vardy is jumping ship, then so am I. I can't do this. You know what I mean? Until they get re-promoted. But with the way that the Championship League and the Premier League works, at this point, the 3 clubs who get promoted are just going to get relegated the very next year. So there's this whole feel-good... Wrexham has done it again. For the 3rd year in a row, they've been promoted. God help them. God help them if they get... 365 days from now, if Wrexham is in the Premier League, then what's 365 times 2? 730 days from now, they're going to be getting sent right back down. It's not going to matter. One of their problems right now is something about, I was just reading about this the other day. They need to actually start selling players. I don't remember what it is, but it's something about them getting in trouble with, it's not FFP, is it PSR? Is that what it, God, the FIFA and their fucking acronyms, their goddamn racket. I don't remember what it is, but Wrexham is some weird financial issues where they keep spending, but they're not making that much money, but they've been really successful, and so they keep getting these payments for, I don't know what it is. You talk about Leicester and their parachute payments from the Premier League and how that, I don't know. Wrexham is Jamie Vardy, imagine that. He goes to Wrexham. Imagine that. I'd throw up. I'd be sick to my stomach. That'd be insane. Don't let that happen. Shout out to Crystal Palace, brother. That's what it's all about. I hope you guys pull it out. I really do. Unless Haaland is playing, which I will find out at some point if he is. I don't know in this moment if he, I don't know. Because I don't care. The season's over. Unless it's except for the Champions League. Still very, very invested in the Champions League. But okay, folks, let's do one more email. Oh, wait. This one, okay, never mind. Sorry, this is bad podcasting. Let's do this last one from Lucia. Lucia, I hope I'm saying that right. I'm not Hispanic nor am I Italian. It could be Lucia, but I'm not an asshole, so for all intents and purposes, it will be Lucia. Welcome to the show. Subject line, rare coping hour demographic zag. Hey, Nick. I'm one of the female listeners of the pod, and more importantly, a hardcore Bucks fan who appreciates your sympathies in this trying time. If this franchise gets Ishbia'd, for the record, I'm shifting my regular season attention to the Pistons and vicariously living through you guys in order to glean joy out of life again, if that's chill. The reason I'm writing this email is to keep you abreast of an interesting listener demographic zag that may or may not have ever happened. I showed this show to my boyfriend. I had it on in the background a few days ago while putting on makeup, and he asked me what I was listening to, stating, quote, I like this guy, unquote. I told him your story, and he immediately subscribed. If you're interested, I think it was the segment on Sam Presti's autism diagnosis that did the trick. All love to you and your family. Hope you're enjoying the nice weather coming in. From Lucia. The reason that I wanted to highlight this email is because I think she's right. That's never happened before. And if it has, nobody's ever emailed about it. And so one of the reasons I'm highlighting it is because ladies of the Coping Hour, how did you find out about the show? Because some of you may have watched like old videos that I used to put out, and then just by extension of that, you found out that the show existed, and so you started. I don't know what it would be. I've never heard that before. And I just the optics of a woman putting her face on in the morning, like before work or before school, and there's just like a fucking idiot, like a guy just doing bits. A guy doing a segment about like a racist Batman or Sam Presti having autism, and their significant other being like, who is this? I gotta tell you, man, because your boyfriend is a way better man than I am, because if my girlfriend was listening to a podcast where another guy was doing bits, I'm throwing hands. Why do you need bits from that guy? You can listen to whatever you want, but you cannot listen to another guy do bits. Are my bits not good enough for you? The fuck? The funniest part, though, about the Sam Presti autism segment, I'm just thinking about this in real time, is your boyfriend would have had to have slogged through the first 45 seconds where I was talking about RFK. He really must have been like, what's going on with her? Why is she listening to a guy talk about this RFK character? He probably was a little bit worried about you for just a second. It's a great email. I love that story. We also just don't have that many girls who email into the show. I can think of one off the top of my head who emails like maybe once a month. Jacqueline, she'll email about the Pistons like once a month. And I usually like to highlight her emails whenever she does send them in, just because, I don't know, usually, well, they're good emails. That's what I've noticed. The women who do email in will actually email shit that has something to do with something, where like, some guys will email into the show and they'll be like, Bin Laden was cool as hell. And that will be like the entire email. And I'm like, so what was I supposed to do with this? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, you want me to read this on the show? Actually, I think we did read an email that said exactly those words months and months and months ago. But yeah, we got to keep the ratio nice and tight here at the Coping Hour. Because, like, imagine, when the Coping Hour eventually goes on tour and we're selling out theaters of, 3,000 seats. Do you really want 2,999 of those to be guys? No. And I also, by the way, I don't want some of the women that are there to just be strung along by their boyfriends or husbands as just like a date night. That's going to be a bad date. I'm going to fuck up the vibes of your date, and it's not going to be fun if they don't know what this is, right? So I also thought it was funny to piggyback this email off of what was a couple episodes ago when I was just talking about this, but when the guy was like, how do I get my fiance to listen to the show? She's right. This is a demographic zag. This is a complete record scratch freeze frame. You're probably wondering how she got here. I don't know. I really don't know. But shout out to have your boyfriend email in, and then we'll do like a I don't know, but just I wish you included his name so I could be like, what's up? Like, acknowledged, check, acknowledged. Bucks fan, yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Gary Trent. I mean, Game 4 is happening as I'm taping this. I don't care though. And I would imagine, well, you do. You're not going to lie and say that you don't. But the Bucks are not going to get Ishbia'd. I would love to know, what does that mean? To you, like, conceptually, what does it mean if the Milwaukee Bucks get Ishbia'd? Because I don't think that can I don't think it can happen. You talk about the goddamn second apron. They can't. They can't move anybody. Isn't part of the reason they did the Kuzma trade in the first place was because it put them under the apron? I might be completely wrong about that. I don't remember that. But they are going to ship Giannis at some point. I'm not forcing him out. Maybe it won't be this summer. Maybe it won't be. But it's happening again. Did you guys see all those reports about Brooklyn has been a big spot? Like keep an eye on Brooklyn for Giannis. I'll throw up. Nope. Not that. It cannot be Brooklyn. That's disgusting. Because then there's a take in there, honestly. Lucia, thank you for getting the gear spinning on this. Do not let Joseph Tsai, and is Sean Marks still the GM? Do not let them make the same mistake. Do not let them trade for Giannis. Don't let it happen. You're going to tell me why is it the same? Because it's Brooklyn doing something stupid. Not stupid. Trading for Giannis is not stupid. But just Brooklyn, I don't know, trying to be good. Brooklyn should stop trying to be good. Because the two times that they've tried to do it, 2 out of the 3 times that they've done it in the last 15 years, it has blown up in their face completely. Whether it was the KG Paul Pierce thing, which in retrospect, how the fuck was that supposed to make them good? Even at the time, people were like, what is this all about? The time that doesn't count, the reason I say 2 out of 3, the other one obviously being, we've covered it, but the Harden and Kyrie and KD. Does it not count, though, when they accidentally were good? With, like, D'Angelo Russell and Karis LeVert and Joe Harris and Jarrett Allen and maybe, I think, was James Johnson on those teams? He might have been. That cast of characters, and Kenny Atkinson was the coach. They accidentally their way into something good, and then they blew it up and fired Kenny Atkinson because KD and Kyrie wanted to come. And then they were like, fire Kenny Atkinson, hire Steve Nash. And then it didn't work. Maybe that's something to keep an eye on is if they trade for Giannis, do they fire... Is it Jacques Vaughn? No way he's still their coach. He got fired. Jacques Vaughn. Let's ask Siri one more question. Let's try Siri one more time. One more time. Who is the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets? It has to be Jacques Vaughn. Who the fuck is Jordi Fernandez? Who the fuck is that? Who is that? Gun to my head. I'm dead. Gun to my head. Who's the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets? I'm not saying Jordi Fernandez. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Who's the coach of the Wizards? It's not still... Hold on. No, I know this. It's not still Unseld. He got canned. Let's ask Siri another question, because she's on a hot streak right now. What the fuck is that? Is it Brian Keefe? No. Who's the head coach of the Washington Wizards? Is it Brian? It's Brian Keefe. Like I said, it is Brian Keefe. Wes Unseld Jr. got fired like 2 years ago. Was it a year ago? I clearly don't know. Let me go around the NBA. Pistons, JB. Cavs, Kenny. Pacers, Rick. Bucks, I almost said Dirk. Doc. Raptors, shit. Who's the coach? Who's the Raptors coach? Oh, isn't it someone weird? Let's ask Siri one more time because she's on a hot streak right now. She's gotten two in a row. Who's the head coach of the Toronto Raptors? This is not good podcasting. Oh, right. It's the Russian guy, Darko Rajakovic. Darko Rajakovic. Yeah. Okay. So we got him right. The Knicks, Tibbs. The Nets, Jordy Fernandez, which we knew very famously. The Celtics, it's Joe. The Wizards, it's Brian Keefe. The Hornets, is that Chuck? It's Chuck Lee. Did he get fired yet? That just didn't come across my... There's no reason to fire him. Well, I guess there could be, but Charles Lee is not the problem there. I'm not going to look that one up. I'm going to say that one is Charles Lee. Atlanta, it's Quinn. Still Quinn. Beautiful hair, Quinn Snyder. Miami, Spoelstra. The Magic is Mosley. Jamal Mosley. That doesn't sound right. Let's ask Siri one more time because she's on a hot streak right now. Who is the head coach of the Orlando Magic? It's Jamal Mosley, right? It's just right. Okay, yeah, it's Jamal Mosley. The Pelicans, Willie Green? No, Willie Green got fired years ago. It couldn't be Willie Green. It is unknowable who the Pelicans coach is, to be honest with you. No, didn't they just hire some? No, I'm thinking of David Griffin getting fired. They fired David Griffin, hired Joe Dumars, and then hired Troy Weaver to be like a special assistant. Is it Willie Green? I feel like he was a coach 5 years ago. This part of the show is blowing my mind, by the way. How many of these coaches I just haven't... I guess I don't know. Let's ask Siri one more time because she's on a bit of a hot streak right now. Who's the head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans? I have to ask her again. Who's the head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans? It's Willie fucking Green. It's Willie Green. I just got to stick with my gut. The Dallas Mavericks is Kidd. The Rockets is Ime. The Spurs is, I mean, it's Pop, but it's not. He has to retire. After this recent stroke that he had and getting taken out of a steakhouse on a stretcher, it really is brutal that he can't go out on his own terms. But I don't know, man, with the 6 months stretch that he's had. He'll know when it's time. I don't know. But I don't know who the interim was. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. Because it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. Oklahoma City, Dagnall. Phoenix. They didn't hire a replacement yet, did they? No, but it was formerly Budenholzer. Utah. Whoa. Oh, Utah. Oh, I can see his face. Head coach of the Utah Jazz. I think I'm going to stop this. I don't know how many minutes this went for, but this was the moment that just for posterity. Let's ask Siri one more time because she's on a bit of a hot streak. Who's the head coach of the Utah Jazz? I know it. It's going to piss me off when I see it. Will Hardy. I wouldn't have gotten it, but yeah, I knew that. I wouldn't have gotten it, but I did know it. Did Doug Christie get fired? I don't think that happened. They fired Monty McNair not fired. They mutually agreed to part ways. But they didn't... I don't think they fired Doug Christie. Chauncey actually got extended by the Blazers. The rumor was they extended him because Phoenix was going to swoop. Well, no, that makes me think that they did hire somebody, and I just can't think of it. Clippers, Ty Lue, Lakers, JJ Redick, a famous podcaster. Who did I forget? Like the Warriors, Steve Kerr. Yeah. The Grizzlies. I didn't say the Grizzlies. It's another name. It's it's that Finnish guy. I don't know his name, but it's the guy who killed Taylor Jenkins. It was like, this is my offense. And then the Grizzlies were like, yeah. And John Morant started firing blanks into the, like he was the Wile E. Coyote. I'm hunting head coaches. Bop, 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 bop. And he fired his shit off into the sky. Like who is the Looney Tunes guy with the big mustache and the dumbass hat? It's not Wile E. Coyote. It wasn't the Roadrunner either. Who was that guy? It was like, was it Stinky Pete? Who's that guy? That's John Morant. Michael Malone, obviously fired. And I don't know that guy. I don't know his name. He doesn't matter. I don't care what his name is. Minnesota. Didn't I say I was going to stop doing this? Minnesota is Finch. Now, is that all 30 teams? I think I did it. No, I did it. Yeah, I did it. All 30 teams in the NBA and their head coaches. I was going to do a whole thing. My son's birthday was on Saturday, and I was going to do a whole recap of that day, but I'm going to be here for another 20 minutes if I do that. Remind me to recap my son's birthday. I have a lot of things to say, but I need to leave. I have to end the show. I would argue it may have gone on 20 minutes too long, but that damn email from Lucia, it really got the gears spinning for me. Curious to know actually how I ended up getting to, it doesn't matter. If you're listening to this on Spotify, I don't have a question for you. The truth is I've been actually crossing my legs for the last 20 some odd minutes because I'm going to pee my pants. It's that pee that I can tell the second I stand up, I'm not going to be able to walk because I'm in so much pain and discomfort. So it's a marvel that I just wouldn't shut up and I just kept doing the segments that I was doing because I'm literally going to pee my pants. So Spotify, I don't have a question for you. Have you, as an adult, peed your pants? Not pooped. That's next week. We'll ask that next Monday. As an adult, man or woman, or they, themster, have you peed your pants? I've never done it. It doesn't count, though, when... Oh, I got something. I got to say this. Speaking of going pee and my son's birthday, and I'll say this, and I'll get you out of here. Spotify, can I get a ruling on this? YouTube, please feel free to chime in too. You ever watch a man wrestle with his own insecurities and what his sexuality is in real time, and you're like, stop being, with all due respect, stop being a pussy and get over it? Okay, fellas, let's do some quick etiquette. You walk into a bathroom. There are 3 urinals. What's the one urinal that you don't walk to? And all the men in unison say, the middle one. That's right. It is disrespectful to go to the middle one. It's just an asshole move. You just don't do that, right? That has nothing to do with like internalized homophobia or anything. You just don't do that. That's just actual bathroom etiquette. However, you take the one on the left or you take the one on the right. Now, what happens when you do that? I went to the one on the far left, which means there was the middle and the far right. A guy immediately walks in after me and he goes to the one on the far right. That is what you do, which left the urinal in the middle open. I am done peeing, I zip up, and as I'm turning around, I see this like maybe 18-year-old kid in the mirror in front of the sink pretending to like fix his hair, but he's just like fucking with it while staring at me. And as soon as he sees that I'm walking away, he stops what he was doing and like walks over to the urinal that I was standing at. The reason I'm bringing this up is to say, dog, you could have just gone to the middle urinal. It's not gay if you're peeing in between 2 dudes. Get the fuck over yourself. By the way, 2 stalls were open right next to us. Just go in there, sit down, have a seat. You're clearly not old enough to where you're at the point where you're like, I don't care. I'm sitting down to pee. Dog, I sit down to pee at 90% of the time. If I'm at home, I'm doing it 95% of the time. I stood while I was doing it earlier and it felt weird. I'm like, I don't do this. This is not me at all. It's not gay to pee in between 2 guys. So what's the ruling I'm looking for? That guy's gay, I think. I think that's what because you're so scared of, you know what I mean? I don't know. See, this is why I wanted to do a whole I've just been so damn judgmental of people lately. And it's not been healthy. I've just had so much vitriol and malice in my heart towards people who are just literally living their lives. And I'll be like, look at how fucking stupid that person looks. They think they're a vibe. You're not a vibe. You look like an asshole. And this kid who maybe he was actually fixing his hair. He wasn't. I can tell you he was not fixing his hair. He just didn't want to pee in between 2 guys. It's because you're gay. I think that's what it was. One of you guys sent in an email about Jaden McDaniels being a player that you can like you had a sexual like revelation. And you were like, I'm something after Jaden McDaniels. And I think you asked if there was ever a guy who did that for me. Yeah. I've thought about it. Yeah. Growing up, Daniel Tosh was a big one. because I was always really the way that he would always breadcrumb his sexuality and is he or isn't he, you know what I mean? That cat and mouse game, for some reason, I identified with a lot. It's funny to look back on it and I wonder why, you know what I mean? But like athletes, like sports figures, no, I don't think so. Does Leonardo DiCaprio count as a sports figure? I mean, he's the gold standard. He is just, that's a man. Capital M, bolded, italicized, underline. Nothing that Leonardo DiCaprio loves more than his vape, a flat cap, an N95 mask, face mask, and 18-year-old Israeli models. There's nothing, and Martin Scorsese. There's nothing that Leonardo DiCaprio loves more than those like 5 things that I just listed. I wish I was in that list. I don't think I am. Maybe someday. I would do anything. All right. Okay. Apple Podcasts. What's up? What's up? If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.
Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control.